Adopting a wild Mustang is quite the challenge. Are you ready? How do you know you're ready? That's what we're talking about today. All right, well, first off, that's not a question that I can answer for you. This is something that you're gonna have to ponder. But what I can do is provide you with some questions to ask, some things to consider, and I would encourage you just to take the time to be honest with yourself. I'm specifically going to be talking about gentling a wild Mustang. Saddle training a Mustang is a whole different topic. I'm also planning on doing a bigger, better version of this video, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to add them below. Okay, so I've broken my questions down into 3 different sections: resources, skills and experience, and knowledge. When I think of resources, I think of the tools you need to get the job done, as well as connections. So to start out, do you have a connection with someone who has Mustangs? A great place to start would be just simply going to their facility, observing their training sessions, maybe volunteering to help in whatever ways that they allow. If you're wanting to bring home your own wild Mustang, do you have the facility that meets the requirements? Wild Mustangs have requirements around the shelter, the fencing, and the type of trailer. These are limiting factors for a lot of people. Not only that, but after the Mustang goes through its initial gentling process, do you have a graduation facility where the horse can get turned out to pasture and just be a normal horse? This next one's really important. Do you have the time resource to be putting into the training of a wild Mustang? Consistency is very important, especially in the early stages. Are you willing to get help? Do you know of other Mustang trainers who can help you if you get stuck? This next one's a hard one, but I really want you to consider this. What are you going to do if you have a Mustang that doesn't meet your expectations? It doesn't fulfill the purposes that you had initially intended for it. That's a hard one, but it's important to consider ahead of time. Okay, maybe that one didn't fit so well in the resources category, but where my mind was going was, do you have the resources to provide for it in the case that it isn't fulfilling your goals and your purpose, yet you still want to do those things? Will you have to bring in another horse to do that with, or keep this other Mustang? What's going to happen? I want to be clear that I'm not implying one direction or the other. I'm merely implying that this is a very heavy decision that has to be taken very carefully. Okay, moving on to the knowledge section. Do you understand how to read horse behavior? This is probably a question that a lot of people answer yes to, but you really have to get good at reading the smallest little signs and just becoming a student of your horse. Are you aware of your own body language and how to turn your energy way down? Are you aware of increasing tension with a horse and when it reaches its threshold? Another question is, how much pressure are you as a trainer willing to put on a horse? This is going to vary greatly trainer to trainer. Remember, with a wild Mustang, you can be putting pressure on a horse by standing outside of its pen from a distance. The more pressure you put on, the higher stress the horse is going to feel. All right, this next question is so important. Do you understand how horses learn? If you're going to be teaching a horse, you have to understand how they learn. Now, early on in my training journey, I learned that horses learn from the release of pressure. Well, technically that's true, but it's not the only way that they learn. Now, pressure and release, or that release of pressure, is actually considered negative reinforcement. If you want more information on that, check out the operant conditioning theory, and honestly, that's a great place to start if you're wanting to learn more about learning. You really do have to become a student of behavioral science, and it is so important just to be able to keep an open mind in this process as you study different methods, how they work, why they work. Understanding all of this stuff is going to be so helpful as you go into adopting your first wild Mustang. All right, let's talk about skills and experience. Have you trained other domesticated horses? Have you successfully taught various groundwork exercises, yielding the hindquarters, yielding the forequarters, backing up, adding softness, etc.? Have you tried using positive reinforcement or doing trick training? Have you solved any behavioral problems? This is essential. Does your horse walk off at the mounting block? Does it bite? Does it kick? Does it ignore you? Is it hard to catch? These are all wonderful opportunities to learn and grow, establish a better connection with your horse, and really just prepare yourself for a Mustang. If you can't do those basic things, then what are you going to do with a Mustang? Can you identify the root of various behavior problems, such as a training gap, or perhaps confusion, the horse doesn't understand what you're asking, or perhaps it's pain? Behavioral problems don't exist because your horse is a jerk or trying to make your life difficult. Find the root of the problem. Can you identify your own mistakes and see how you might be the problem? Truthfully, we're often the problem. Horses are experts in body language, and unfortunately, we are not. This is something that we're having to work on and grow in. It's very common that we send conflicting messages to the horse, and a lot of confusion and frustration can come out of that for both human and the horse. If you're able to identify your own mistakes, can you make corrections for them in a way that you see success afterwards? Now, these are not yes or no questions, as everything that we might answer yes to probably has in parentheses needs more work. Horsemanship is a journey. We're all on a journey and in different places on that journey. It takes time. But a really important part is having that mindset where you're willing to work on what you don't know and you're dedicated to the learning process. That is so fundamentally important. Now, to share a bit of my own story, before I got into Mustangs, I was absolutely obsessed with groundwork. And I was obsessed with groundwork because I saw the value that it had. It improved communication with my horse, it improved the relationship with my horse, it fixed problems that I had in the saddle from the ground, and it was just a lot safer to do it that way. I saw the value that groundwork had, and I went out to study it. I taught a bunch of different groundwork exercises and fixed a variety of problems in several horses. And then I got into Mustangs, and when I got into Mustangs, I went with a yearling and a 2-year-old because I figured it would probably be an easier transition into the Mustang world going with young horses versus older Mustangs that had been on the range their whole lives. So that ended up being a really good option for me. I was happy with how that transition went. The young Mustangs were a challenge, yet they did enable me to have success and have my confidence grow that, hey, I can do this. So the last thing that I want to leave you with, whether you're considering adopting a Mustang in the near future or the someday future, is to always be learning. Learn from a variety of resources and from a variety of trainers. Try to get experience with a trainer if you're able to. Practice with whatever domesticated horse is in front of you. If you don't currently have a horse, I'd encourage you to be dedicated to finding a horse that you can work with, because believe me, there are so many owners out there who would love someone to spend time with their horse, because you can use an old retired horse for this. You can use a little pony for this. You don't need a riding horse, and there are so many horses that just need love and attention. So find one near you. If you live in the city and don't have access to horses near you, then really dedicate yourself to learning from books, from podcasts, from videos. There's just so much that you can do to prepare yourself. And the truth is, when the time comes and you do get that hands-on experience with a horse, it's going to be so nice to have this backing of knowledge. There's going to be a misfit when you have knowledge without the experience. There's going to be a misfit where you have to learn how to align those. The truth is, when you invest in learning now, even if you don't have the hands-on opportunity, your future self will definitely thank you, because learning is a very time-consuming process. But guess what? So is caring for a horse and training. It's hard to find time to do all these things. So, okay, if you don't have a horse, then you're not putting in time for training or its care. Use that time, learn. If you want to learn something and you want to get good at something, grow in something, you really have to change your mindset and be looking for opportunities and solutions rather than barriers. And believe me, I came from a place where I am very good at identifying barriers. So I'm having to change my mindset, think outside the box more, and honestly, finding community with people who are interested and passionate and reaching towards the same goals as you are is going to be really helpful for you. I'm going to include a playlist right here of videos helpful for you if you're looking to adopt your first wild Mustang. Otherwise, I'll see you in my next video. Bye!